Hey guys, welcome back to another RoCitizens video. Today I'm going to be explaining some custom house tips I did not include in my how to make a RoCitizens custom house video. Of course, if you haven't watched that video, I suggest watching it before finishing this video, but let's get into the tips. Tip number 1. Save blocks for decorating, but still be creative. Meaning, if you really want to add a lot of detail, don't make the build too big, else you're gonna hit the furniture limit. I've seen a lot of people who have worked so hard on their build, and then they hit furniture limit, and it's just, what's the point anymore? It's super annoying, but it is needed because lag is tremendous in this game. I can tell from experience. But the furniture limit is 800 items. At the moment, sadly, you cannot see how many items you have on your plot, but hopefully that'll change soon. There is data usage. It does not exactly tell you your furniture limit, because you can go over 100% in the data usage with still it not hitting furniture limit. So it's a bit confusing. Tip number 2. Currently, there is no way to have an empty plot, so if you are building a small house, you can build around one of the blueprints. I normally use a small cabin to build around, but normally I create a whole platform above the blueprint to have any house on. It doesn't take too many blocks, but yes, if you really want something to be detailed and it's a small house, I suggest just placing it down here and then maybe add some fencing to block the house, or maybe just call it your neighbor. Step 1 to building a floating platform. What you want to do is grab a block, and then I place it down right here because this is kind of the middle-ish of the plot. And then I grab a shelf. I grab this shelf. It's pretty cheap and it's good for a ladder. Then I move this up here, right there, so that I can place another shelf on top of it, on top of the block. And then I repeat that. Step 2. Now that we've created the ladder, we want to create the actual platform itself using grass blocks. So I'll just use this block and then size it to be the biggest it can be. And then I do that with other blocks as well. You can make the platform as big or as small as you want, but I normally go 5 by 5. Step 3 is to color the blocks to be all the same color. I normally use forest green to be the color of my blocks, but you can choose whatever. Normally the grass really changes the vibe of the house, so if you want like a haunted house, you would probably want some dead grass or whatever. Tip 3, add fencing. It's important to add fencing, especially when you're making a house on a floating platform, so it's not as common to be falling off the house and you aren't able to see the trees below once you're on the house platform. I normally use wood to be the fencing. It really depends on the look of your house, what type of fencing you want. This is the look of the fencing that I normally use. It's just like the fencing down here at the actual house, and it looks pretty nice. Tip 4, try to make the house even enough for you to be able to use the ×1 position increments. So it's easier to place things down once you're decorating the house. So if we place down the floor and it's at the 1 times 1 position increment, which means it's in the 1 square, I guess. Then we place the wall right here, and we have both of the double walls right here. Then it'll be easier to be placing furniture inside the house in the corners without you having to change the increment just to be able to place things down. Tip 5. How to make even windowing. This is a big question from a lot of people. I had this question as well, so I developed my own way of measuring. So I normally use blocks to measure my walls, which means that if you follow tip 4, then this would be a lot easier since it's even and it's close to the blocks. If we're using fully sized 2 fully sized blocks, then it's gonna be fully even. So what I do is I measure like this. Okay, so now that we fully measured, you have to figure out how big you want the windows to be. So since I'm using 2 fully lengthened or maxed out blocks as the walls, I probably want some bigger windows. So and I'm not worried about any doors, but I do want some space in the middle. So what I want to do is I want to count by 2. So I'll probably just take these 2 out. Have this as a little wall space right here. So I'll have to do the same on this side as well to make sure that it's even. And then since I have all this left, I'll probably just take out these 2 blocks as well. And then I'm left with these 4 blocks in the middle. I'll just keep those there. I might as well. And this can be a little wall space in between. You can always, if you're actually building a house, I would suggest building a wall right here. And this could be the division area for the rooms. I measure the height I want for my windows. And I want to make it accordingly to the blocks so that it's not bigger or smaller than the area I gave myself. So I'll do that much. And then I want to size my actual wall to be smaller. And then I want to make the window trim. Here's the finished product of the windows. Now on to tip 6. Add wall trim, pillars, and tiling. You can add these inside the house and outside. Outside is super nice with pillars. Tiling is for more inside in the kitchen, I guess. But wall trim is anywhere, honestly. It can be really small wall trim, or it can be half the wall trim. But if you want to see how to make all of these, make sure to check out my building block tips video. That shows you how to make all of them, and they look super nice, and I totally suggest that video. Tip 7. Add pathways and driveways. Since there's no concrete block, I normally use the marble block. And if you're really into saving blocks, or you really need to save blocks for your build, I suggest picking up one of the closest grass blocks, like this block right here, moving it out of the way, and then replacing it with the driveway, and then maybe make it like one point taller That's not 1 point taller, but and then just sizing it to be the biggest, and then doing that here as well. Then you can build the garage out here, or you can have it connected to the house, of course, and then you can just throw these away, or you can move them into the back so that you already have pre-size building blocks. But then yeah, you can size, you can color this. I normally use the medium stone gray, and then voila, you have your driveway. And then you can always build paths up to the house as well. You can use any other material, it doesn't really matter what material, as long as it fits with your house. But marble, of course, is probably the best to use. And yeah, you can have the walkway going up to your house, and then you can always have it connected to your driveway as well. Yeah, and you can always make parking lots out of the marble blocks as well, like I did in my diner video. Tip 8. Since you cannot place trees on building blocks, and if you want to make a floating house, I suggest building your own trees out of wood and grass building blocks. You can always just make a little square tree like so. And boom, you have a tree. It kind of looks more like a bush, but you can always create bushes like this, I guess. Or you can always make a tree that looks like the pine trees that we have, which I think, yeah, so this one kind of looks like this, I guess. That's what I was trying to go for. But you can always add more detail and, of course, layers like this one. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you all have an amazing day. If there's any other tips that you think I missed, or things that you're confused about with custom house building, please make sure to comment or DM me or join my Discord server to ask me. I honestly am having a fun time making these custom house tips and tricks videos. So if you have anything else you need me to explain, I am here, and of course, if you want to make your own house, make sure to send pictures in my Discord server. I love looking at custom houses, and I'll be posting more custom houses in the future. Thank you guys. Subscribe. Bye. Bye.